Okay, folks, we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone. This is a public hearing for the City of Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight is June 14th, 2010. And as you can see, we have a very light crew on tonight as far as a quorum for members. We do have a new member tonight, Mr. Gary Perrin, who would like to introduce. He is replacing the late Jack Knox, and he'll be on the board as a member from this point forward until the end of what Jack's original term was, which I think is last several more years. So we're glad to have Gary, and we know he'll be definitely an asset to this board. We're going to take the petitions in the order that they're listed on the agenda. The first petition is ZB 2006-000078, affirmation reconsideration of previous decision, Lowe's Improvement Center, 50 Lowe's Way, formerly known as 790, 816, 824, 836, 826.1 Chelmsford Street. This is in a high-rise commercial district. The petitioner is requesting to allow the use of a retail home improvement store and internal illuminated signage and off-premises signage and variance for signage dimension, locations, and material. And the history of this is that they were looking to amend some of the hours of operation. Before we get started, Attorney Leites, the next scheduled meeting, I believe, is going to be July 12th, 2010. The next meeting, June 20th, is probably going to be canceled. We have nothing on as of now.
Okay.
Okay? So if that inconvenienced anybody, I apologize, but that's generally the meeting that we do postpone every year because of the holiday. We very rarely have anything on, and that is the case this year. So my recollection is last time, Attorney Leites, you appeared before the board, there was some discussion as to whether or not Lowe's should be allowed to amend the hours of operation, and can you give us any updates?
Correct, I will. First of all, welcome to the new member, and it'd be nice if you got a nameplate for him, Mr. Chairman, but
I'm going to do that
another time. I'm here tonight to report, and I've spoken to a few of the neighbors, that my client has realized that they need to do some fence mending, I guess I can say, before they want to get along with changing hours or anything like that. So they're going to withdraw their request to change the hours, and in the meantime have indicated to me, and I've said to the people I've spoken to tonight, that I'd be glad to try to act as, shall we say, an intermediary to see if we can't meet and I'm not talking about a huge neighborhood meeting. I think we need to just zero in on some of the principal concerns they had, because obviously it's to everybody's benefit to do that. So on that basis, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that I be granted permission to withdraw without prejudice.
Okay, so we'll take a vote to withdraw the prejudice, and you understand, Counsel, that there's only 4 of us tonight. This is not only for this petition, but for every petition tonight. It has to be a unanimous vote. One negative vote defeats the request. So the request is to continue this, to withdraw this petition without prejudice. So roll call. I'm assuming you want to go forward, Attorney Leites? You want to go forward with the 4?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes,
roll call, please.
I do.
Do we have to have a motion and
Yeah.
second it? You making a motion?
I can't.
Okay. So I'll make the motion for the applicant to withdraw his application.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Withdrawal.
Allow the withdrawal.
Allow the withdrawal.
Allowed to withdraw.
Okay, Attorney Leites, this petition has been, the withdrawal has been allowed without prejudice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I get the next one, so I'll
Okay.
just stay up here.
The next petition is ZB 2010-000013, and this is a request for variance. Applicant is Einstein and Lan Thai Gu. This is 43 Lloyd Street, to convert a single-family to a two-family without the required lot area per dwelling unit pursuant to Article 5, Section 5.1 of the Table of Dimensions. And as you recall, I recused myself from this matter, so that leaves you with 3 votes, which obviously is not a quorum, so you don't have a choice but to continue. So I assume that's what you want to do?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
I did want to say, Mr. Chairman, it's not because I don't often have the opportunity, first time in over 40 years that I can say I represent Einstein.
yeah.
Einstein and his wife are here with me tonight, but we'll have to wait
All right.
till the July meeting.
All right. So
I assume that what's continued, there's no vote
No
necessary?
vote, so we're not going to take a vote. That matter is going to be continued to July 10th, I'm sorry, July 12th, 2010. There'll be
there
no
any-
further.
Is there anyone here? I don't know, and that should, I mean, they should be told that they won't get another notice again.
I'm going to do that now, yeah. I just can't get into substantive because I've recused myself from it. So the July 12th will be the next hearing date for this petition. Anybody wishing to speak in favor or against this petition is welcome to come that night. There'll be no requirement that the petitioner publish or do any kind of other formal notification. The notification is right now that it's going to be continued to July 12th, 2010. Okay? Any
you.
questions, you can call the building department.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And the next petition is ZB 2010-000017. This is a request for special permit regarding signs. Ngo is the petitioner, and the address is 460 Chelmsford Street, to allow the internal illumination of a wall signage consisting of channel letters for T through K nails and spa pursuant to section 6.3.4 of the zoning ordinance. And I do have one correspondence that is dated yesterday, June 11th, to me and the Board of Appeals from our design planner, Rachel Kiskell. And she, I'll just read the letter. The applicant is asking for special permit to install an internally illuminated sign on the facade of the individual business located within a strip mall. Because of the proposed sign follows the overall design of the strip mall and matches the existing signs and neighboring businesses, we would support ZBA's approval of this petition. The petitioner has included in their application package photos of their proposed sign and the adjacent existing signs. We would just ask that the applicant and sign designer be sure to match the new sign's color and brightness with the existing signs within the strip mall. Today, she spoke with Vi Duong of the Art Studio Sign and Neon, and he explained that he had no objections to the sign they are proposing. So I just want to read that into the record, and ma'am, could you please state your name and address?
Actually, my name is Vi Dong. I'm here on behalf of Art Studio Sign and Neon, and also the tenant, and Ngo, that's on the applicant.
Okay, and can you just pull the microphone down to your, right, so you're here speaking on behalf of the applicant?
Yes.
Okay, and what would you like to tell us?
I'll tell you the detail of the sign, if you like. I believe I've also included layouts of the sign. You have before you the layout saying that the T-K will be 12 inches high and approximately 24 inches width and 5 in depth, with a 1/8 acrylic red face and 1-inch gold trim. The height of the nails and spa on the second line is also 12 inches high, running approximately 7 feet 5 inches, along with a 5-inch depth, again with 1/8 acrylic face in red color and 1-inch gold trim. They will be lit by LED.
Okay, and did you see the correspondence from Rachel Kiska?
I have not seen the letter, but I have spoken with her.
Okay, so basically she supports the sign. The only concern she has, she wants to make sure that the new sign matches the color and brightness of the existing sign. So is what you're telling us that it does?
It may be possible concern, it might be a bit off because the newer signs are the older sign. Older signs, the face may have started to have built up some dirt, so it may be a tiny bit darker.
So just only because of the age of it, otherwise it's very similar?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And just as a question, has this business opened yet?
No. What you see there right in front is actually an existing business, a hair salon, so it looks similar.
Okay, so what is the plan for that?
That I'm not sure. I have the tenant.
Okay. All right, so now what I'll do is I'm going to open it up to the board if anybody has any comments. Bill?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, no comments. If the design planner has endorsed this, that's good enough for me, so I'll support the petition. Thank you.
Okay, and Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have one question. What hours do you expect to have the sign illuminated?
Most likely consistent with the remaining of the building. That I'm not sure. But do you have certain restrictions on the hours? If you do, we can set them.
Well, I think it's a good question. I think what Mr. Perrin is asking is what hours is that sign going to be open? What hours is the other sign open? I mean, it's a strip mall, so I assume...
It would be approximately
This
the
needs to
same
be
time.
some uniformity there.
Uniformly lit, yes.
Okay, so do you know what time that,
No.
the other signs? Okay, so if you wanted, Gary, we could add a condition that it stay open no later than the other signs in the strip mall. That satisfies.
Yeah, I just want, just to be consistent with the remaining signage on the entire lot, that all the signs are illuminated.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that'd be, that's a condition that we'd probably impose, okay?
Okay.
All right, anything else, Gary?
No, Mr. Chairman.
And Rick, anything?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so what we're talking about is a sign that would, before we open up to the public, a sign that's basically similar to the sign that's there now, and the only condition that it does not, the hours of illumination do not exceed what's currently on the strip mall. Is anybody here wishing to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? Okay, and hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Is anybody here wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition to this petition? And hearing no opposition, that portion of the public hearing is closed, and now we need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the special permit at 460 Chelmsford Street,
And what about the condition?
and with the condition that the illumination will be in line with the rest of the plaza.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, Kim? Ma'am, before we take the roll call, I just want to explain one thing. As I said to everybody in the beginning, and I'll try to remember to repeat it, but since we only have 4 members tonight, you're always required to have 4 out of 5, but there's members that are absent tonight. When there's only 4 members, you have to have all 4 members vote in favor of your petition. One vote against your petition is fatal to your petition. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So you always have the option to continue this until we have a full quorum, or you can go forward. What is your wish?
Go forward.
Okay, roll call. Sure.
That the hours, that the sign would be turned off not later than the rest of the plaza.
Yep. And when you're ready, Kim, just a roll call.
Approve.
Approved with conditions.
Approve with conditions?
Approve with conditions.
Okay, ma'am, your petition has been unanimously approved with that one condition, that your sign does not stay on any later than any other signs in the strip mall, okay?
Okay.
Okay, do you have any questions?
How about when it turns on? Turns on at the same time as the other one?
Turns on and off. It's
Okay,
the
making
sign
sure.
is not on or off any longer, or any longer in period of time than any other sign in the strip mall.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, and any questions, you can call the building department, but that will be reduced in your decision letter that you'll also receive.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
All right, good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next hearing is ZB 2010-00018, a request for variance. The applicant is Alvaro Velasquez Constance, it's 165 Thornton Ave. This is a petition to construct a 24 by 30 attached garage, 2-car garage without the required side yard setback according to Article 5, Section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance, table of dimension requirements. Welcome, sir.
How you doing?
Good. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Joe Bilo, and
Yep.
I am here for Alvaro and Constance Velasquez for 165 Thornton Ave,
Okay, can you spell your last name, sir?
B-I-L-O.
And in what capacity are you representing them?
I'm going to be building a garage for them.
So you're the builder?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and what would you like to tell us?
We're just looking for the relief sort of 6.7 feet for this garage, for variance and a side setback.
Okay, so what are you saying? Did you have enough room except for 6 or 7 feet
Yes, I need 6.7 feet.
for relief?
Yes.
Okay. And what is it, can you describe as much detail as you can what they plan on doing?
We're just going to build in a garage, but it's right up against the property line, a set of trees,
Yeah,
and They just need that area. It's a small lot.
And it's a request for variance, so what is the basis for the variance? Is it, I mean, I went by the lot, so I could tell it is, you know, somewhat of a unique lot, the way it's shaped, as opposed to some of the other lots around there, but to me, it looks like it's, you know, 24 by 30 is really gonna be crowded in there to the boundary line. And I think when the planning board made a recommendation, they referenced that exact issue. So if you look, if you're facing the house, it's to the right of the house, correct?
It's correct.
And you're going out 24 feet,
24 feet towards the side yard.
And 30 deep.
feet back. Yes, correct.
right, so it's basically right on the boundary line, or
Pretty much it's 3.3 feet away from the
Yeah.
line.
have you spoken to any neighbors in that area? Has your, well, we'll hear from the public after, but have you approached any direct abutters?
Mr. Velquez, right here, he has approached the butters and talked with them.
Okay, all right, and we'll let everybody speak when the
Okay.
time has come, but,
I have not personally, Mr. Velquez has talked to the
Okay.
butters.
all right. Well, usually too with the board, we require more detailed plans as to what you proposed. I know you gave a couple of sketches
Yeah?
as to what it is, but this board generally wants to see aesthetically what it's gonna look like. In other words, like a real computer rendition or a photo of what the whole entire parcel will look like upon completion,
Okay,
because we have no idea what we're approving otherwise.
all right.
So I know we did get a few sketches, and that's helpful, but it's really not what we need. But we can still talk about what you're gonna do, and we can open up to the board for discussion.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the project, or why they need to do it, or?
Well, they've got 3 cars in their driveway right now. It's kind of a nuisance in the wintertime, and they'd like to get a couple of these in the garage. This way they have ample parking for the additional cars that are there. Right now, they're stuffing all these cars in their driveway, and there's just no room.
Okay. All right, is there anything else you'd like to say, sir, at this point? I'll give you a chance to respond to whatever anybody says, but,
No, pretty much all set.
okay, thank you. Bill, any comments?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, what's the plan for the trees that you mentioned, the tree line? Will the trees stay, or will they be coming down?
Yeah, the trees will stay.
The trees will stay, so approximately how far from the tree line would the end of the garage be?
About 5 to 6 feet away.
5 or 6, okay.
Yep.
Are the trees pretty much on the lot line, or are they,
They're on the neighbor's property line.
they are?
There is a fence separating,
Right, okay. So the trees do belong to the next door neighbor?
yes,
Okay.
correct.
And the plan is not to disrupt the trees at all? Right,
Absolutely not.
Okay. How much parking would there be in the driveway area once the garages went up, do you estimate?
They would have, let me see, 30 by 24. They'll have about 500 square feet, 400 to 500 square feet of parking
So,
in their driveway.
okay, so they'll have potentially four parking in the driveway, and then another 2 in the garage? Is that,
Yeah,
is
they're
that
not
correct?
looking to add any more vehicles. They're just looking to, when they
Right.
put their vehicles in the driveway,
Right. But
There's-
if need be, they could have off-street parking for 6 vehicles at once if they
if need
they
be,
need
yes,
be.
correct.
Yep. Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, Gary, any comments?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any potential of expanding the driveway itself? Is that part of the project at all?
No,
It's
there's
gonna-
no-
It's going to remain the same as it exists presently?
Yes, we may have to build it up a little bit to meet the elevation of the garage that's gonna go in there, but no, it's not gonna get any bigger.
So the only thing you'll be changing is, through the existing driveway would be the pitch, so the water pitches away from the driveway and exceeds down the road?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Rick?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pretty big garage to be putting on the side of that house with, in that neighborhood. It takes up a lot of the lot. Is there any chance of making it a little bit smaller? So we could meet the setbacks? I mean, that's 3 feet off the line is, it's a lot. You're asking to put a lot onto a small lot size to begin with, I mean.
Yeah.
I know that's what they have and stuff like that. It's just very tight.
I don't believe I could make it small enough to fit. There are 2 cars in that garage right now to meet what you're looking for, what's proposed, what we need. We can make it a little bit smaller probably, but it's a 2-car garage. We do need X amount of space in between the cars.
I'm just looking to see if there's possible if a 1-stall garage would work out for them, you know. It's just a lot. That's all I'm asking.
Okay. That's certainly, we could talk about that.
Okay, that's my only question, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm just looking at your table of dimensions, and I just saw that it says it's a 10,000 square foot requirement, and the lot's 8,500 square feet?
Yes.
And the relief sought is 1,500, is that,
Relief sought is 1,500? No.
well, I'm looking at your, the Aho surveying plan for the Board of Appeals. I could be reading it wrong, but I'm looking at the chart, the grid. Current zoning, 10,000 square foot required, provided 85, relief sought 85, 1,500 square feet.
Yep. Again, it's a non-conforming lot, so that's why they got the 8,500 square
Right.
feet there.
I guess the concern is it's on an undersized lot anyway, and now we're adding more to that lot. So it does, without actually seeing it on the property, I can't tell, but I agree with Rick that it looks like it's going to be a little bit tight there for what you're doing. I think it definitely will help the neighborhood as far as parking, because parking is tight on that neighborhood, and if you provide off-street parking in the garage, is obviously 2 spots, cars people won't even see, and then there's probably parking in front of that. So the good thing about it is it's gonna, relieve some of the congestion on the street. The only thing the only concern I really do have is that it just appears to be almost the same size building as the house that's right there, right? And that's a ranch.
Well,
So it's basically doubling almost or close to it.
it's 24.
Take your time. If you guys want to talk, go ahead.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Do you have the certified plot plan?
Do you have a copy of the plot plan?
Yes.
I have the plot plan right here, if you'd like to come up and take a look at it.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's right here. This is what we have.
If I have the right one, I don't know if you updated it, but
This is it right here.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if they had a copy.
No. Yeah, everybody has a copy of that.
you're talking about the surveying plan
Yes. Yeah.
from Aho, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I see the rear yard's no problem. The minimum side yard, the relief is only 6 feet, but it's 6.7 feet. It's
Yeah.
normally doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at that street, that's a long way. It's a lot of, relatively speaking, that's a big area. The minimum front yard's not a problem, and, I understand it's a non-conforming pre-existing structure, but, it does seem like it's a little tight, but it has some benefits too, so why don't we hear what the public has to say? Unless you want to add anything else right now, or do you want to wait? And you guys is there something you want to tell us?
No, I pretty much said all that I could really say about it.
Okay,
There's not much more that
all right,
I can tell you.
all right. Is anybody here wish to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody here in favor of this petition? And hearing no one in favor of the petition, sorry, is there somebody in favor? Sir, this is, if you want to say something in favor of it, now's the time? Okay, so you have to step up to the podium. Sir, please state your name and address for the record and,
Alvaro Velázquez, 165 Thornton Avenue.
okay,
And I talked to all my neighborhood, almost
Oh, you're the owner of the property?
Yes, I am
Oh,
the
okay.
owner, yes.
I assume you're in favor of it.
I am there for 27 years, I live
Yeah.
in the house.
You've lived there for 27 years?
And I saved the money to make the garage because maybe we try to retire next year and I don't want to shovel anymore snow.
Okay.
So I talked to Jack Dolan, he's a very popular guy over here, is my neighbor, the police department, and all the people over there, and they say, Al, you can do anything, I don't care. We know you for many years. And in one of the back of my corners is a guy built a garage exactly my size, and they live 3.5 feet from the sides. And from the back of the garage, supposed to be 25 feet, he live only 13 feet. That's in the back of the Jack Dolan house. And he said, I don't have a problem with that. The city of Lowell, they give you permission to make the garage like that, and no problem. So that's why I go by that, to make the garage by 24 by 30.
Okay.
And I don't know, I hope you consider that, because I need the garage.
Oh,
and,
it makes a difference. I mean, if nobody's here in opposition and you're representing to us that you've discussed this with the neighbors, and I think you do know some of the neighbors around there. Obviously, you've been there 27 years.
Yeah.
If everybody got notice, and it's such a congested area that there's many people got notice, and it depends whether, I don't know if anybody's here in opposition, but that it means a lot if there's nobody here, so I can tell you that. So they know the neighborhood better than we do. One question I just thought about when you're doing this, the way the lot shapes down, it's definitely a unique lot, but the way it slopes down, is there a drainage problem that's going to be created by this construction, and is that going to be dealt with? And I guess I mean that to your builder.
There will be no drainage problem.
You just have to speak from the microphone, because that's the only way. If you could step away, sir, and thank you, sir.
The only problem we'd have is with the pitch of the driveway. The water won't be run out back.
Yeah.
It won't be affecting anybody else's lot. It's just, we'll have to change the pitch of the driveway, that's all.
And what will you change the pitch of driveway to?
We're gonna bring it up about 6 inches from the garage,
Yeah.
and then we'll tie it off and let the water naturally flow across his lawn.
Okay. All right. Okay, is anybody else here wish to speak in favor of this petition? Sir?
I just want to add a few things.
You just have to state your name officially for the record.
I'm Mike Fortier. I'm with Alvaro Velasquez. I just want to point out a few things that weren't brought up. This variance is keeping with other lots in the neighborhood, including his immediate neighbors to his left and neighbors behind him. And as Al had said, there are some people that have 3 feet, 2 feet, separating the property line from the existing structures that were allowed by variance. As far as the parking is going to remain the same. There's not going to be any more parking, except that his parking will be underneath the garage. I mean, potentially, can they park 6 cars there? Yes, but that's not, the intent is to get those cars underneath and protected, that's all, as far as that goes. And like I said, it's all in keeping with what's in the neighborhood and what's been allowed on several streets there. Virginia Ave being one of them. 164 Virginia Ave, there was a variance allowed on that particular property that's actually exceeding what we're asking for today. So.
Right. The board that we're required to take everything as a case-by-case basis, but one thing that does matter is that, I think most of us are pretty familiar with that neighborhood.
Yep.
And I do agree with you that there, it's people have basically expanded their properties as much as they can there, and it seems like it's a low turnover neighborhood. A lot of the same people live there, for a long time. So I don't think everybody lives in harmony with the additions that have been put on for the most part, from what I can see.
Yep.
But I guess procedurally, a question that I now have is, you're requesting in our agenda, it says you're requesting a special permit. I'm sorry, it's just a variance, so that's all set, okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, sir?
No, thank you.
Okay, anybody else here wish to speak in favor of this petition, in favor? Okay, and hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anybody here wishing to speak in opposition? Anybody here opposed to this project? And hearing no opposition, that portion of the public hearing is closed. And Bill?
I guess the only thing I'd add, now, I think one of the members asked if you had to move it in, say, the 6 feet, what exactly would that do to the construction? I mean, how would that actually affect it?
It would definitely take it away from being a two-car garage. We couldn't get enough width there to fit the 2 cars in there. And there's not enough length to
Yep.
put them front and back. That's where the problem comes in.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, through you, the sketches we were given now, are we asking for anything more definitive around that? Obviously, this gentleman's a builder, and I'm sure that's why he provided what he did.
Right.
I just want to make sure we're consistent with what we've done with other petitions. Do you have samples? Have you done two-car garages before in similar size? And
Yes.
yep.
I don't have anything with me
Right.
right now, but yes.
Yep.
And we match whatever the house siding is, the shingles.
Right. Generally, what we do require to be consistent is something more than, these pencil sketches are necessary, and they're good to see because it tells us elevations and certain things that we need to see, but it doesn't really give us a clear picture of what it's going to be. What I would suggest, if this is approved, is we put a condition on where you have to provide to the building department and then to us a, facsimile version or a photo of what it's going to look like with the house and the garage on it. And usually that's a, CAD design or something. Not very expensive at all. I think you can just superimpose a picture onto the house and give us an idea. And then, assuming that that's okay, you'll get your permit. And that can all be done during your appeal period anyway. So if you just provide it to the building department and they can provide it to us, it shouldn't slow anything down if the motions are allowed.
Yeah, when I apply for my building permit, they'll get a very detailed plan of exactly what it is.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I just thought you kind of needed a picture of what it was going to look like attached to the house. So I didn't go crazy by getting a CAD or a CAD plan for you. But when I go to the building department with the setup, they'll have everything. Will be
Right.
laid right out, siding and type of shingles.
Right, but you can't go to the building department without approval from this board, so I guess
Okay.
what we're saying is we just need to know what we're approving. So what this happens quite often, so what we do is we put a condition on that you provide a photograph of basically what it's gonna be, and I can see how the roof line melds in, so we don't want to approve this and then drive by and see something with a high pitch
Oh, I understand.
and blocking somebody's view, and then we can't, it's so hard to take it down at that point. So we want to entirely avoid that situation if we can.
That won't be a problem. I can, oops.
If I could ask one other question. Is there going to be, and maybe I'm not saying it, at the back, on the back end of the garage, is there going to be a separate door for that garage?
Yes.
Okay. So that means, in order to get to the backyard, the only way you're gonna get there is either walk through the garage, go out the back door, or you're gonna have, so how you gonna, on the side of the, where the trees are, you guys need at least 10 feet, and you need 6 feet of relief, right? That's where the problem is, over where I'll say where the trees are.
Yeah?
So that you'll be able to basically walk out along the side of the garage to get to the backyard?
Well, you got the whole other side of you have the whole other side of the house you get around.
Oh, I understand that. I'm just saying you're pretty much blocking off the egress to get to the backyard. That's why I was asking about the garage, the door and back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're right.
Yep.
There'll be no.
And I know when he's retired, he'll have plenty of time to walk around the other side of the house, so, yeah. Well, that's the only thing I would ask, Mr. Chairman, about the plans.
Okay.
Exactly what are we gonna require from the
So I
applicant?
think generally if it's something the board's willing to approve, we could approve it subject to a more definitive photograph version of what the completed project's gonna look like, the house and the garage. So in other words, a CAD design or whatever you can do, where the house is there and the garage is attached, and you give us a picture of it, that we can hold you to. And also, I'd want the requirement that the siding will match the existing house. So in other words, if you change the siding on the original house, you have to match it to the garage and vice versa,
Yep,
okay? As well as the roofing. We don't want to see a black roof and a brown roof,
No.
but either does the owner, I'm sure, so.
no.
Okay, Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, you stated we discussed the drainage coming off the driveway, and you said it's going to pitch towards the lawn. Were you indicating the front of the house or the rear of the house when you made that?
The front of the house.
Are there any concerns with drainage in the rear of the house, in that level? Is that a level
Yes,
backyard?
yes, and it naturally slopes. That yard won't change at all. Nothing will change there at all. The way the yard slopes towards the, let me see, towards the left. It doesn't slope back, it kind of slopes towards the left.
So what you're stating today is it slopes towards the shed, towards the back left of,
Correct.
of that lot?
Yes,
It doesn't slope towards the abutter behind?
no,
Okay, thank you.
yep. None of that will change. None of that backyard elevation will change.
Anything else, Gary?
No, thank you, Tristan.
Okay, Rick?
No other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So, basically, what you've been telling us is that this is what you're gonna build, you'll give us a more definitive version, and the reason, he gave the reasons why he wanted that. What I see as the benefit to the neighborhood is it takes some of the parking away from that street, which is, I think, important, especially in that end right there. And, you know, looking at the lot, I do think it meets the requirements of a variance. I think it is unique to the other lots as to its shape and topography, and doesn't really lend itself to him being able to put a garage on the other side because of the position of his lot. So I think you do meet the requirements, and we need a motion.
And, I'll make a motion to approve the variance with the condition to provide a definitive plan of construction.
Second.
Okay, and sir, before we take the vote, you understand that you need all 4 votes tonight. If one person votes against this petition, it's fatal and you can't come back for 2 years. Or you have the option of continuing this till we have a full board. If you'd like to take a minute to talk about it.
You have a minute? I like a minute on this.
Yeah, and just so you know, the next meeting is July 12th, so that's,
We'll go with the decision tonight.
okay, so the applicant has decided to go for the vote tonight. He needs all 4 votes unanimously, otherwise the petition is rejected. So, we had a motion with a condition and a roll call, please. Approve with the condition?
Approve with condition.
Approve with conditions.
Approve with conditions.
Okay, sir, so you've been unanimously approved. I just need you to come up and sign this document. And you'll be all set. Good luck. Okay, the next matter is ZB 2010-00019, and that is a request for special permit and variance. The applicant is Stephen DeRosa, 62 Highland Street. This is a variance to reinstate the previous non-conforming use of a 5-unit structure. Pursuant to section 4.5.7, a special permit to change the same into a 6-unit building without the lot area per dwelling unit pursuant to Article 5, Section 5.1, and required parking, Section 6.1 of the zoning ordinance. Would a representative of 62 Highland Street please address the board when this gentleman is done at the podium?
What's your phone number? 458.
6961.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, good luck. So again, we'll call it 62 Highland Street. Welcome, sir. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, I'm Paul Borbeau, an architect with PHB Architects, 208 Market Street, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I'm here with the owner, Stephen DeRosa.
Okay, can you spell your last name, sir? I didn't. And you have to sign in?
Yep, B-O-U-R-B-E-A-U.
Okay, so who's ever going to speak first, and then we can, the owner can put his name in when he speaks.
Okay.
So whatever the plan is. What would you like to tell us?
This property exists currently at 62 Highland Street. It was the victim of a fire several years ago, and back in February of 2010, the one-year date for filing for a new permit for the building expired, which required us to come to the board today because at the time, the building property was still not in the hands of the new owner, Stephen DeRosa. It was still under negotiation, so it was impossible for us at the time to file a building permit and renovate the building prior to February of 2010. We're here today after looking at the building during that time and since that time to see what would be the best fit for the renovation of the building. And as you know, it's been sitting vacant now for over a year. And what the owner would like to do is to reestablish the prior existing 5-unit nonconformity, but in addition, potentially add a 6th unit under the zoning ordinance to the 3rd floor and provide up to 7 parking spaces for this new condominium association. The site plan has been prepared, which should be in front of each one of you, that shows the location of the existing building and the proposed parking. There's a caveat to the parking, however. There are 4 spaces located off of, not Highland Street, but, excuse me, off of Thorndike. I'm sorry, no, off of Highland, I'm sorry. 4 spaces located off of Highland. There are 4 spaces there, and there would be an electric gate at the end of the 4 spaces so that those 2 spaces would not be landlocked. They would be able to open that gate and exit out onto Thorndike Street instead of backing onto Highland Street. But we would still have 7 parking spaces. There are 2 areas that are designated parking for lot number 1. The first area off of Highland Street is labeled with the number 4, and the second area for lot number 1 is labeled number 3 on the back side of the current building. The plan is to restore the building to its prior condition in terms of the exterior appearance. We're not proposing on changing the roof line. We'd like to reestablish the prior roof line, which was sort of a mansard roof with dormers let into that roof line, and rehab the building as necessary.
Okay, so when was this fire? Approximately, I know it was a few years ago, or? Was it that long ago?
Yeah, it was almost a year and a half ago,
Okay,
February of 2009, I believe.
okay. So, the only change you're requesting is just to restore it, it's pre-existing non-conforming, to restore it and add that third unit?
Add the 6th unit
Add the sixth unit to that, the upper
to the
level?
3rd floor, that's
Third floor,
correct.
Okay.
Right.
And I guess, I don't know if you went to the planning board, but their comment was that they voted to deny it because generally there's a lack of parking.
No, we did not go to the planning board. The current situation requires, under the multi-use in the zoning, is .75 spaces per bedroom. We have 8 bedrooms. We'd
Right.
end up with 7 spaces, so we end up with 1 extra space per the requirement.
Right, a lot of times you don't appear before the planning board, but these are submitted and they get kind of so sometimes they don't have the information
I see.
that we have at this meeting, but that's,
Sure.
I mean, to me, with this building, it was, it can be a beautiful building if it's restored, and it needs to be. And I think my concern was the same when I went by, that so long as there's enough parking,
Yes.
because of the location as to where the house is, you don't want to, that's a very tough street, especially with the school right there and
Absolutely.
on the corner of Thorndike. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us, sir?
Unless Mr. DeRosa would like to
Sure.
say something.
So would you like to address the board? Is there anything you'd like to add? Okay. All right. Bill, anything?
I'm in a sea of paper. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Did you give us a parking plan?
There is a site plan with the package that shows parking.
Right, but is the parking plan in the small one, or is it in?
It might be in that large plan right there, which I think you have right there.
See it.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
If you don't, I do, there should be a site plan with all the packages. I made 14 packages, and the site plan was included in every one of them.
No, this one, I only have, unless I'm missing it, I only have 2 pages. It's like,
If you don't, I
I
have
only
an
have 2
extra,
pages as well.
yeah,
have an extra copy of the site plan here, but
Right.
that was submitted with the package.
Well, that's probably why the planning board didn't see that. I don't think any member has that, but that would help.
my eyes are bad enough, I can't.
Actually,
Yeah, so that's like a reduced copy of that, that's what I was saying. Okay.
it's a reduced copy of the enlarged plan.
Can I,
You can have it.
yeah, okay, thank you. So, again, through you, Mr. Chairman, I believe when this came before us before, not with this petitioner, there was questions regarding parking for the facility. So currently, you state you're providing 7 parking spots?
That's correct.
Okay, and those would be located where, when I look at this?
4 of them are located on Thorndike Street. 3 of them are located off of Thorndike Street. There's a circle with the number 3 on those parking spaces, and then there's a circle with the number 4 on Highland Street. There's 4 spaces, 2 spaces, and another 2 spaces are tandem parking.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, though, at number 4, is there currently a driveway in there?
That's correct, there is. There currently is a driveway with a fence that separates that parking space, because what people would do is drive off of Highland Street and shortcut through that parking lot onto Thorndike. So the fence was put up to keep traffic from flowing
Right.
through those 2 units. And more of a safety precaution. What we're proposing is to keep the fence, but turn it into an electronic gate, which would only be accessed by the tenants that live in the condominium association or
So
apartments.
is the parking, is it, for the 4 spots, are they, based on what I'm looking at right here, are they side by side?
Side by side, and then there's 2 in front of each of those as well.
Okay, so is there, with the access, you're talking about this gate, is the access only to come off of Highland Street and turn in to the property?
That's
And
correct.
then actually exit out
The only,
back way?
that's correct. The only 2 cars that typically would exit out onto Thorndike Street would be the 2 cars that would be landlocked by the 2 cars behind them. two cars behind them could simply back out onto Highland and exit, but the two cars in front of them, they would not be able to. So that's why we provide the electronic gate for them to exit onto Thorndike.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to ask about was, there won't be a dumpster. Are you proposing putting in a dumpster, or are we going to go with currently what the city's using for each individual unit has their own dispensers?
I'm really not sure about that. Currently what the city is using, yes.
Okay, so that's
No dumpster.
that's the plan?
Yes.
And are those going to be housed, are you going to
Corral-
house those
we'll-
so they're out of,
More than likely, they'll be corralled underneath the stair, the egress stair, that is part of the exterior of the building.
yeah. Now, can you tell me, what's the major reason going from 5 to 6?
Well, the major reason is to make the property financially viable. To the 5 units works, the 6 units would work even better. It would allow us to spread that cost over 6 units versus 5 and make it more viable. And since it is allowed under this particular zone, up to 6 units, we thought that we would try and ask the board if they would allow us to add the 6th unit. But at the very least, have the 5 units reinstated as the prior nonconformity.
Okay. Then also, if I can go back to the parking one more time, behind the lot, there's no current parking there? In other words, where you have the 3 set up?
Yes.
There isn't anything set up right now for parking behind the facility?
I can show you that.
Yep. Because I remember looking at this whole thing, how that was marked off before. Yeah. Well, I remember,
I think what you were asking is right here. You're talking about parking up against the backside of the building in here?
yeah, in other words,
Yeah.
I remember,
There's,
so, Mr. Chairman, I was just asking about, again, visiting that facility, if they were doing anything else. So it's 7 parking spots in total is what you're proposing tonight, based on
that's
these
correct.
latest plans. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for right now, but I might have other questions later.
Okay, Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just as a follow-up to the parking, because I did go by the property. As it relates to the rear of the building where it's indicated by number 3 off of Thorndike,
yes.
directly off the property, those are the 3 spaces you're talking about, as you just referred to as 2.5?
That's correct. Currently, there's 2 parallel spaces in the back. Putting them into the building, creating 3 spaces.
So you're just going to reconfigure how they be set up?
Okay, can you just re-ask the question from the podium, because that's okay, sometimes it's difficult.
That's correct. We're just proposing that we're reconfiguring that parking that currently exists on the backside of the building. We're not adding to that parking, we're simply reconfiguring it.
Okay. Also, through you, Mr. Chairman, as it relates to the side driveway indicated in your plan at number 4,
Yes.
you mentioned an electronic gate. Is it going to be one gate exiting out through the rear of the property?
That's correct. So it'll be at the head of the parking that separates the back parking lot from those 4 spaces. That's where the gate will be placed. And the 2 cars that are parked directly in front of that gate would be allowed to open that gate and exit through there onto Thorndike.
So the entrance to that driveway is going to remain open with no dumpsters in sight,
That's correct.
and the receptacles are going to be placed under under the porch line?
We will corral those receptacles underneath the porch, underneath what is the egress stair of the current building.
No further questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. And I get, I've been listening to this, and I'm just concerned because I don't read the parking ordinance like you do, unless I'm missing something. 6.1.4 requires 0.75 spots per bedroom or 2 per dwelling unit. Wouldn't that require that you have 12 spots?
Well, 0.75 parking
bedroom.
spaces per bedroom, which we have 8, or
Which
2
you
per
have what?
dwelling unit. Excuse me?
You, if I'm reading correctly, excuse me, you're required to have 0.75 spots per bedroom, or 2 per dwelling unit. You're proposing
So-
6 dwelling units, so that tells me that you need 12 spots, or at the very minimum, 10. If it's 7.75 per bedroom unit, unless I missed something.
0.75 would be 6 units for 8 bedrooms.
I don't follow that math.
Well, if you multiply 0.75 times 8 bedrooms, you get 6. So that's minimum of 6 parking spaces. That's the way I read it.
Right. But
Are you telling me that it has to be one or the other, or is it both?
well, I think that you're short parking is what I think. I think, Rick, do you have the statute there, or the ordinance?
Yes, I do.
Since you can read it. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I mean, I was actually going to come back to that. I mean, the way I've always read this, it's 0.75 spaces per bedroom, or 2 spaces per dwelling unit. You're going to have 6 units, right?
That's correct.
Whichever is greater.
It does say that, whichever is greater?
Whichever is
Okay.
greater.
Yes, it
So that's why I was kind of coming back on the parking, because we kind of went through this, again,
Yeah.
not for this petitioner, we went through this parking thing.
Yep.
And that's why I was kind of asking the questions about behind the building. That's why I think you've fallen short based on the way this is configured. And you had mentioned, you can do 6 units because of the way it's multifamily,
Correct.
correct? So the way I read this is you need 12 spaces if you're going to have 6 units, or 5 units, you'll need at least 10.
Or we receive a variance for the parking.
Right.
Right,
Correct. But that's the way I read it.
right.
And that's the way I've always read it, and I think that's the way it's always been interpreted. Okay.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I guess to sort of follow up with that, if we agree that you need 12 spots, or arguably, even if you say 10, and if you reduce it down to 5 units,
Right.
you properly requested a variance, but when it was 5 before, was there a parking issue? And I guess this is more of a question to the owner, because, some units, I would think most would have 2 vehicles. So,
I do not know if there was a parking issue in the prior. Yeah. Not aware of it.
okay. Well, I guess if I could ask the owner, unless you know, how long was it a 5 unit? How many years was it operational as a 5 unit?
I don't know, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure that Stephen knows either.
Okay.
We're hearing the
Okay, well,
mid-80s.
we can only do it a certain way so I'll ask those questions when I open up to the public. But those are my concerns. I mean, if it was pre-existing as a 5-family, which it was a nice building, it was a terrible fire for that building, and it's been sitting there, so I'd like to see something done with it. And if it was operational as a 5 unit and there wasn't a parking problem with the 7 spots that you have, then I think I'm okay with the 5 units. As far as adding a 6th unit, I'm reluctant to do that, because I think then we're way beyond what is a reasonable variance for that, because I haven't heard an explanation as to how we can squeeze extra vehicles that I anticipate will be generated from the 6th unit.
The site plan that we've generated is we've put as many parking spaces on site as possible without taking any buildings down or creating
Right.
something, beyond what's already there.
I guess that, then I have the question as to what happens if you have 6 great units there, it's all restored, and you've got 6 tenants, at least 1 vehicle per unit, and some 2. What do we do with the extra cars? We don't want to place an additional burden on the neighborhood there where it's already tight with parking, but if it was, everything were working okay, when it was the 5-family, I don't have any problem restoring it to that. That's my vote, but I haven't heard from the public, and I haven't heard from the other members. But those are just some of the concerns I brought out when we're talking about parking, because I do remember this from last time, and it seems like your biggest issue is not so much the 6th unit, because there's no exterior addition. It's just what impact that 6th unit will have on the parking. So again, it comes down to the issue I think we went around last time with, is simply a parking issue. And if there's alternatives to parking, whether it's a public lot around there or anything like that, I'm not aware of that. But if you know of anything, you can let us know.
Yep.
Okay, Rick?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, will these be condos or are these going to be rental units?
They're going to be condominiums.
So they'll be sold off, correct?
We can, sir, I know it's
might have to
it's
go
just the way we have to do it, because this is being televised and there's people watching at home, so.
My plans are to hold on to.
Can you, sir, I hate to do this, but can you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Stephen DeRosa, and I live at 6 Pepper Hill Drive in Winchester, Mass.
And you are the owner of this property?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and Rick, what was your question?
So they're going to be condoized, but you're going to be using them as rental properties, correct?
Yes, for me to finance it, it's more valuable as condos. If I tried to get financing for just a 5-unit apartment building, I wouldn't be able to restore it like I want to restore it.
Okay. I know the other gentleman mentioned 5 units would work, 6 units are better. How would 4 units work?
4 would be very difficult financially for it to work.
Okay. Do you own any other properties in the city of Lowell as
Yes.
rental units?
I do.
Which ones? What are those?
Nesmith Street, 25 or 7 Nesmith Street, 772 Broadway. There's probably 5 or 6 other properties. I just can't think of the address off the top of my head.
You live in Winchester, not Londonderry?
That's correct.
Because you have Londonderry here. I thought you lived out of state.
That's my office is in Londonderry.
All right. Yeah, those are the questions, whether you're going to rent them or not. I mean, it's pretty tough to see what the building looks like right now. Obviously, it's been there for a year and a half burnt. I'd be in favor of 4 units. 5 units is kind of stretching it where you're parking, because we're reading the book, you need 10 spots. Granted, some renters don't have 2 cars, but if they have people coming over, it is congested over there. We have been dealing with the parking over there for the other lot 2, because those 2 lots went together at one time, I guess. They split them off,
That's correct.
that lot 2. So obviously, 4 would be tough for you. I mean, I'd like to hear from the community and see what happens out there. So those are just my questions right now, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, and if they're condominiumized, would each unit be assigned a parking spot? How would that work?
Yes, each unit would be assigned a parking spot,
And if you had 7 spots, you would assign.
a visitor's spot.
But wouldn't you have a problem since you have tandem parking if, say, unit number 4 was assigned, the parking in front of that, and they couldn't get access out?
The 4 people that'll be up on the left-hand side of the building
Right.
will have a remote control, and it'll be first come, first serve as they pull in.
Right, but say if somebody has to get out,
They'll just hit their remote control, and the gate will open, and they'll pull right out.
but there wouldn't be another car blocking them from doing that?
No, there's no car in front. On the other side, it's completely empty.
Okay, so everybody would have a means to get out of the,
That's
no
correct.
matter what, okay,
No one's landlocked.
okay.
Three, Mr. Chairman. They're not stacked parking here? There's 4 of them?
Those are stacked, but the two in front have the gate in front of them that they can open and then exit out into Thorndike Street. There's nothing in front of them on the other side. It's just completely open.
So, and again, you have to talk from the podium. I hate to keep talking that, but it's the only way it
Mr.
works.
Chairman, there's a photograph there that would show that a little bit better that I provided these two gentlemen with. There's actually currently right now where the gate is proposed, there are 4 or 5 trash receptacles. Those would not be there, and on the other side of those trash receptacles, you would have the electronic gate.
So would the other two be backing out onto Highland Street?
That's correct. If those cars were in front of them, that's what they'd have to do.
Well, it's a really, it was a really good-looking building, and I think, the city would benefit and the neighborhood would benefit to see it restored, but I think, from my point of view anyway, the 6 units, I wish you had more parking, because if you did, I'd have no problem with the 6 units, approving the 6 units, because I think it does meet the requirements for special permit, aside from the parking, and you can't think of any other parking. Is there on-street parking there that offers relief to you, or is there anything else? I mean, I'm anticipating 6, as a worst-case scenario, 6 units, and assuming it's built properly and everything's beautiful, great, except that now, if each unit, especially of the condominiums, if each unit has 2 vehicles, and we've only provided parking for 7, what are we gonna do with the other 5? I mean,
Eventually, when these units do get sold, my long-term plan is to hold on to these units. But eventually, each unit will be assigned 1 parking spot, and that'll be it.
Okay, so 2 things. Somebody buys it, they have 2 cars, they're gonna have to figure out, they're either not gonna buy it if they have 2 cars, or if they do buy it and they have anybody coming over to the house, I know they're gonna be assigned parking, so they can't park there, but say it's Christmas Eve, and everybody has a condo, and everybody wants to have some visitors over there, I'm trying to prevent.
There's on-street parking.
Okay, that's my question. So how much off-street parking is there? I know there's a school bus that pulls up almost right in front of the place on Highland regularly.
About a Mary would know.
Okay, so why don't at this point, we can bring it back to the members as well, but let me open up to the public to see if anybody is in favor or against it. Is anybody here wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody wishing to speak in favor of this petition who hasn't already spoken? Okay, so hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Is anybody here wishing to speak in opposition? Anybody here wishing to speak in opposition of this petition? Okay, and hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. So let me solicit some questions. Ma'am, and if you don't want to speak, you don't have to, but if you live in the neighborhood and you're familiar with it, I do have some questions. I'm not forcing you to speak if you don't want to.
Nobody forces me to do anything.
Okay.
I'm Mary O'Connor. I'm the abutter, 58 Highland Street. I've lived there over 40 years, and I've seen this house come and go up and down. And it's a very sad situation because it's a very beautiful house. In its time, it was, quite involved with the history of Lowell. And I don't like to say anything for or against to jeopardize my position as a neighbor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Ma'am, can I ask you a question about parking that has nothing to do with the house? Since you've lived there so long,
The parking has been a problem. It is a problem for us, too. We have a private drive, and we have 2 cars in our house. But people park and go into Boston. Right now, the school isn't operating as a school, per se, as you know. So we don't have the problem with all of the school buses. But we have people coming and going, neighbors leaving their cars overnight, snowstorms, blocking our driveway, all that kind of thing. So it doesn't help to have any extra cars in the neighborhood if they want to park legally.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else, sir?
My name is Keith Morgan. I live at 214 Thorndike Street. I'm on a butter directly behind it, and I was involved in the initial argument where we had the fire and we had to split the units. So in terms of the parking, we have talked extensively with Mr. DeRosa and his attorney as to what we thought was going to happen with the electronic gate, where we thought that it would swing open and allow one car past, and if you look at the plans there, you'll see the parking easement, so that they would set it up so that if there were two cars here, part of the gate would open, and the car on the immediate, or the far end, if you will, of the driveway would swing in, you'd sort of cut in front of the other one and go around the corner, and that's why you see that parking easement as it stands there. And that was my understanding of the parking situation.
Okay. Do you see it really congested over there? Do you think something like that would have a minimum or maximum impact on?
All I can tell you is what has happened when we actually had the condominium unit with 5 units there. There was no problems. That gate was actually fixed, and we were able to work the parking situation out.
Okay, and that was my question, because I know that you folks have lived there. It was a 5-unit, and if there weren't any huge problems, that, I guess, was my question.
That is exactly what we did, essentially, is we had the condominium documents, the rules and regulations written up, basically stating that you would have assigned parking as available, okay? So that, to address your question, if in fact an owner had 2 cars, okay, what we tried to do was space it and assign it so that the 2 cars would basically be the same owner, so that they could move in and out and back up as necessary. And that's how we handled it, basically, for the entire time I've been there, which was 1992. Okay.
And there'd be a condo association that would deal more directly or more specifically with the ins and outs of exactly how the parking would work.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else, sir?
That's as much as I can present unless there's other questions.
No, I do need to tell you, and I'll open it back up to the board for any comments, but just so I don't forget, I want to remind you, as I did everybody else, that there's only 4 voting members tonight. So you have 2 choices. You can, if you decide to go forward with the vote tonight, you do need all 4 votes. 1 vote against is fatal. And if you'd like to amend it to 5 units or whatever you'd like to do, you need to consider that. And if you decide that you want a continuance to maybe, do some more homework or come up with some more information for us, that's fine. The next meeting is July 12th. We will grant you that continuance because we don't have a full board tonight. Normally, 5 members would be voting, and you'd only need 4 of those 5. So those are your options, but I do know the other members have other things to add. So, Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Just as it relates to this electronic gate on the exiting end of what's documented here in 5, how exactly, and gentlemen, I thank you for your information, how is that going to open and close it? Is it a slider? Is it an exiting? Going to be an up and down. Okay. And as far as we talked about off-street parking, the concern I have related to off-street parking is the off-street parking directly in front of the house, coming from Thorndike on to Highland. If cars start to pile up there, 1 or 2, with emergency vehicles coming around that corner, that would be a concern that I would have going forward. But other than that, that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Okay. Rick, sorry, Bill, anything else to add?
Just one other comment, through you, Mr. Chairman. On your plans, number of bedrooms for the 6 units, did I count 8? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So that would mean 2 of the units have 2 bedrooms?
That's correct.
And where would they be located in the building? Upstairs?
There's 2 units that have 2 bedrooms, one on the first floor and one on the second floor. The 3rd floor are both 1-bedroom units.
1 bedroom, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Rick, anything else?
Nothing else, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. What's the wish of the petition? Would you like to go forward with a vote?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to speak with my client in private for a few minutes before
Sure,
that?
take as much time as you need.
Thank you.
So, just to recap this, sir, before us is you have a variance to reinstate the non-conforming 5-unit use, and you also have a second request for special permit to change it to a 6.
Correct.
If you're denied both for 2 years, just so you know, that will stay there. Maybe, I don't know if you've considered maybe redoing the plans or looking at some additional parking, that maybe you want to continue this?
It's been brought to my attention, there's actually a public parking facility located within 100 yards of the property, so that if there is a concern regarding additional off-street parking for the condominium association, that perhaps a portion of the off-street parking could be accommodated by this public parking within 100 yards of the building.
Right, and that's why I was asking you, is there any other parking that you're aware of?
I was not aware of it.
And I'm still not sure that there is. I know you're saying that, so maybe the best thing to do is request a continuance, and you can prove, we can't go out and say, yes, there is, and you can't go on what we know, but we all live in this city, and we all know that area very well. So what parking are you referring to?
Near the train station.
Okay, you're talking about the parking garage.
Correct.
Right, and that's what I was thinking of, but I'm not sure you're within 100 yards. If you are, you have, a very good argument.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure, I'm thinking the length of a football field from your most advantageous corner to their most advantageous corner, and, for your case, I hope it's 100 yards, but I'm not sure. And you might want to check the ordinance on that. So with that, I mean, that definitely helps your case, if that's a fact.
Correct.
Okay, but we can't rule on it tonight because we don't know it as a fact, and if it's conditioned upon that, then and you can't meet that condition, then you can't do anything with this property. So I'm not going to tell you what to do, but it seems to me that you may want to consider asking for a continuance and maybe present that option to us. If you can prove on a plan that this is where it is, and we can have in advance to Kim, and we can verify that it's within, and usually I think what folks do in this situation is they have the engineer from Lowell write a letter saying that it is, I mean, that's what we've done, right, in the past?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think he would have to get into an agreement to rent X amount of spots per month off that parking facility.
That's correct.
And I don't know if that is a city parking facility or if it belongs to the MBTA.
Right.
So I think it belongs to the MBTA, so you would have to negotiate with them for parking.
Isn't it LRTA, or is that the same?
I know train station, that's why I'm saying that maybe it might be the LRTA.
I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman.
I think it's the LRTA, but it may have some state ownership. I don't know, but that seems to me might be your best option.
May I have a few more minutes with my client?
Sure.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my client this time would like to request a continuance of the hearing.
Okay, so we'll take a vote. Do you know that the next meeting is July 12th, 2010? So I need a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Good question.
Yep.
Could we get a larger plot plan
Absolutely.
with the gate and stuff on it, and so on? It's kind of tough to read them. They're very
Yeah,
small.
that's why I didn't even think we had one. I couldn't even read that, so if you can blow it up even twice the size of that, I think
Yeah,
would be
give us a
okay.
D size if you would.
I can certainly do that with no problem. I was just doing this I thought it would be easier for you to handle, but I can understand that.
Yeah,
That's
these are
fine.
definitely big, but it doesn't have to be like this, but something in between
Sure, no problem.
to give us a better idea, and a little more description on that gate as well.
Okay.
How it's going to work. I mean, I didn't even follow the answer to Mr. Perrin's question about up and down or over. I can't visualize how that's going to work.
We'll give you a detail on the next plan that we submit.
Okay.
And the other question, Mr. Chairman, is could the petitioner just give the building department the properties you do own so we could go out and take a look at them? So you could give a list to Kim, and Kim could email it to us, and we could go out there and check out the other properties. If you don't, that's what we'd like to see. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And one question I just, is this going to require, if it's allowed as a six-family, it's going to require to be sprinkled?
That's correct.
Okay. especially in light of the fire. I mean, that's probably the reason. Okay, the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to continue to July 12th.
Seconded.
Okay, roll call?
Continue to July 12th.
Continue to July 12th?
Continue to July 12th.
Continue to July 12th.
Okay, sir, this matter has been unanimously continued to July 12th. We expect to have a full board that evening, and you're going to provide us with a larger plan as to parking with more detail, especially as to the gate. And maybe if you want to do that, you might want to add some more detail as to where these trash receptacles are going to go, if you could do that, because that's a growing concern in the city.
No problem.
Okay, and there'll be no further public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak in favor or opposition or to get any information on this petition is welcome to be here on July 12th, 2010. The petitioner is not required to provide any more formal notice. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Kim, is there anything else on the agenda for tonight? And where Gary hasn't had a chance to review them, I propose that we postpone that till the next meeting and add the others in there. Okay, so we'll do the minutes next time. Is there any other housekeeping issues that you're aware of? Okay. I
Make a
need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned.